Welcome to Start Building Me, my nightly training session to prove to you that training is mandatory, even for me. I've had a pretty lazy day today, folks, so I am coming to redeem myself in my own training session because it makes me feel better. You got to take the bitter with the sweet, folks. I've had a bad few days. I've felt really depressed. When I'm depressed, I always just try and focus on one day at a time. So one thing that you've just got to have in your mind the entire time is today sucks, tomorrow might be better. And folks, that day will come. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow, but I will train tomorrow because it makes me feel better. On top of that, I got a little bit too much sun today and I've lost my voice a little bit. So hopefully that doesn't mess up my stream. But what I'm trying to prove to people here is that with consistency and a little bit of time and some very foundational techniques that they can really change their life. And this is my whole point is, I'm practicing what I preach because like I said, today I felt rubbish. The last few days I felt rubbish. I didn't do last night because I felt that bad, but I will try and stay on board because for me it is very therapeutic. And that's my point, is that it's therapeutic for everyone, and that's why I try to do these sessions. So breathe, realize that tomorrow's another day and you might be better, and just try and love yourself, folks. It sounds like a corny message, and it used to grind my gears hearing it in my 20s when I was slaving away for corporations. Just suck it up and roll with the punches. But as you get older, you realize a lot of it comes from self-loathing, and you should really just try and see the good in yourself and realize that, hey, even if I've done something wrong or I'm at fault for this depression, then it's something that you can overcome. You just have to do the time. And there's a term that I've been recently accustomed to over the last year is called head miles. So doing head miles, thinking about something you've done wrong, thinking about where you've made a mistake, even in jazz. Good to see you as always. You focus on the negative things like target fixation when you're riding a motorcycle. If you're looking at the tree when you're going around a corner, you'll understeer and go in towards that tree, assuming you're going around a left-hand corner. And it's hard not to focus on the bad things. But like I'm always saying, I've got a hoarse voice, too much sun, feel depressed, but I will always leave these sessions feeling better. And that's why I do them. Hey, Sal in the house, good to see you. Literally just did a recap coming in here early trying to explain to people that, hey, you got to take the bitter with the sweet, and if you've got depression or you're feeling anxious, so do I right now. I feel terrible, but I know always, and Jazz has experienced this for the last 2 years, I can walk in here thinking, I don't want to be here, and leave on a high note. So, and obviously Sal and I discussed this morning as well, is it's therapeutic. I'm trying to sell it as being therapeutic, so therefore it's stupid for me not to do it myself. But like I said, it was pretty low yesterday. I was just like, I'm not going to be able to pull on a brave face. I'll be a down note to everyone that watches this stream. So anyway, let's get started and do some squats. I'm going to be using my box for the time being for the near future because, folks, this is Start Building Me. If you can't do a squat yet, you're going to be doing something like this onto a chair or onto the edge of a bed or a stool or a milk crate or something that you can improvise with, right? So without further ado, let's do some squats. What am I doing? I'm sitting and touching my butt on the chair. Or the stool rather, the fancy Start Building stool. And by stool I mean box. Start building box. That's probably a little bit better. And you're touching your butt on the chair. Breathe. Do what you've got and then take a breath. Now for me, I've had some problems with my knees. I've been running too much, so I'm going to switch it up and do some training exercise on my cycle for the next few weeks to rehabilitate my knee. I think I just went a little bit too hard. I've got a knee brace, like a thermal skin that I usually wear to avoid it. So I might get back into that and do that. I took your advice, Sal. I got all that document sorted. I'm seeing Matai tomorrow, so I'll ask him about a Sydney trip. So that's all good. And again, calm blue ocean, folks. If all you do is come here and breathe. Hey, man, good to see you, man. If you just come here and breathe and think of that as an accomplishment, then folks, as I like to say here, as a quote from Little Duval, a comedian, is breathing's achieving. And it really becomes actually quite a clever quote, as I was saying, when I'm feeling depressed, like I have been the last week or so, and you think of that, breathing is achieving, it gives you the strength to go on, because you know, hey, my life hasn't always sucked. I felt good the week before last. There's light at the end of the tunnel, you're going to get better. But like I said, if you're in a doom spiral, or you're focusing on the news, you're focusing, like on me, on my divorce, you're focusing on the depression, it will just get worse, right? So you want to shake yourself out of that and be like, as Sal told me a million times last year, the quote from Churchill, if you find yourself walking through hell, keep on walking. It's one of the best quotes ever for exactly that. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised that Jesus is in on a training session. It's impossible to stop him. And we got some push-ups coming up, you better believe it. So I'm going to do sets of 10. Because today my exercise is selfishly just as much for me as it is for you guys as well, because I know this works, else I wouldn't do it. As people know me as a person who is looking for efficiency and effectiveness in whatever it is that I do, this is no different. I'll leave here having spoken to my best friends in the entire world on the stream, venting a little bit off my chest, hoping you guys had a good day, and we'll walk away feeling good. And I'm going to start watching The Lord of the Rings. Jazz is a switch up from The Simpsons, which is what I usually watch when I'm depressed. I just go into The Simpsons spiral because it's like nostalgic to the max of my life, which has mostly been pretty good. So I can watch it and feel a lot better. So what am I doing, folks? I'm sitting back into my heels. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'm trying to become an instructor to do this to kids to change their lives, stop them going out and doom scrolling through social media and ruining their lives, which, my goodness, it's going to do. One thing I've learned, I digress shortly, is what makes me feel a million times worse when I'm depressed is social media, folks. Now, the beauty is, I know Ben, Jazz, Sal, and Matt, all of you are off it, which is awesome. So it's like, I got to get off it. But you find that you have your accounts for business and you still get drawn into some garbage, and my goodness, it's so toxic. It's insane. Yeah, no, I agree, but there's that awesome level of ulterior motive of doing it because it makes me feel better. So you feel like, okay, I'm giving up my time to do this, but I know that you guys get something out of it as well. And I get to be a clown with an audience for a while. It makes me feel good, folks. Win-win. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Totally. Yeah, thanks, guys. I know you're on my cheering squad anyway, but like I said, for my beta development to do this and have people that have actually valid feedback, it means a lot, so it's cool. I'll get back into the groove of it, doing my outdoor sessions, and I want to do the morning session as well. We'll also drink my cold brew coffee. But like I said, I've got to sleep through the night and not toss and turn. It's fun. It's pretty cool. The dogs keep me sane because you got to, look after them. You got to walk them non-stop. So, it keeps you motivated to get out there and do stuff. But when I'm tossing and turning in bed all night, it gets to the stage where you just see Dale looking out of his corner of his eyes at you like, bro, I love you, but screw this. And he hops off and goes and jukes it out for the couch, on the couch with Keith for the rest of the night. So I feel bad. But instead what I've been doing is just taking my swag mattress that Matt slept on when he came and visited me, and that's Dale's bed now. So I'm sitting back into my heels, weight's going to the outside of my feet, folks. That's really the most important message. You just don't want your knees to do that, right? So you're sitting down, back into your heels, and you're never stopping breathing. So follow what I say, not what I do. But that's the squat. Now, you might not need to have that breathing frequency and that cadence, but if you're starting off, it's really a good idea to do that, and it's the easiest to coordinate. I used to tell people, like the last time I did this, so sorry for confusion, but breathe in at the top, but I've been thinking about it, that's more of a barbell squat exercise, because you're keeping the tension in your chest to keep yourself stable whilst doing it. With this squat, it's pretty comfortable to squat while to breathe whilst you're going down. So I find that's easier to coordinate, to remember you're doing it that way. And so, you know, as Kim was saying when I spoke to her when we were watching the UFC on Sunday, that she'll feel in different exercises when I'm doing squat because she got a bad knee, and you have to obviously figure out the cadence for the exercise you're doing, i.e. the numbers of what you're doing. And she said she was playing a game where she would do exercises for as long as I was talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and I ended up just talking about it for like 10 minutes on the stream. So she said she was like about to pass out from doing sit-ups, and figured that, you know, she can abandon the game whilst I'm going on a tirade about cryptocurrency, which is certainly the week for it. So my point being is that you can modify these exercises, you can do whatever numbers you want, as many sets as you want. We're all different, and you're competing against yourself and your performance yesterday. So you're not me and I'm not you. So I'm just going to do what I need to do when instructing. But also the amount that I'm doing that I do on the stream as well is actually a decent exercise, right? Because like I said, I want to get something out of it myself. I've been sitting around dwelling on stuff all day, which is, hey, you got to do it. You know what I mean? The head miles, it's such a great concept. Like, we've all done head miles about something. When you sit in there and you're in that doom loop about something that you've done, or you know, something that somebody said to you, or something that you've read, or a bad day you've had at work, you have to snap out of that some way, because all it does is screw up yourself. So this is a great way to snap out of it for a while. And hey, I've snapped out of it massively through being here, because like I said, the most important people, this is not trying to, you know, emotionally blackmail you into training with me, but just to be with these people online in this environment that I've created is super positive for me. So it makes me feel good. Even when I'm starting to lose my voice hoarse, like I've been at a drum and bass club all night. Hey, you want to go outside for a cigarette? No thanks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feeling a bit sweaty, and that's the aim of the game. Getting my heart rate up, blood pressure up, getting some blood into my joints, healing the hard tissues, ligaments, all that good stuff, folks. And I think the easiest sale point for you guys is that you guys have probably benefited somewhat from exercise in the past, so it's yeah, I know, am I right? I think all she did is modified her system to not think about, not adhering to her exercise protocol in the end, and be like, oh, I've got to mix it up. Yeah, that's the plan, man. It's like I won't dox all these people. I keep on forgetting. Our friend Sam in Canada was saying, he's like, you should do it shirtless, and it's like, no, I'm not gonna sell myself like that. It's supposed to be for kids. He's like, oh yeah, fair enough. He's like, I only take people seriously if they've got a six-pack. It's like, well, this is cool, but my market is trying to get kids inspired to exercise. People who know how to exercise and have just need to get back into the habit, people who have sustained an injury and need to start building themselves again, which is how I came up with the concept. Because after busting my body up at various times, I've become the master of rebuilding myself from scratch. From like, I've really got to go to the bathroom now, but I can't move my legs. How do I get myself into the wheelchair? It's like a video game, you know? You're just like, okay, I'll prop myself up by putting all the pillows underneath my back, and you're just like pulling pillows underneath you, so your back starts going up, so then you can reach your legs to start lifting your legs to put them onto the seat of the wheelchair, and from the seat of the wheelchair you move up towards it, scooting up to it, and it's like, if you can come back from that to getting yourself to go on a daily walk or wheeling yourself around in a wheelchair, it's just enough to keep your brain ticking over like there is progress being made here. Simple progress. Totally. But he's right. It's sort of like, you know, a lot of people, which was how this FTX saga happened though, is like people think, hey, these guys have this amazing trade record. It was totally fudged though, because they were in bed with the exchange that they were trading with, who gave them all the people that they were trading against as trade information so they could run their stops, basically smoke these people out of their trades by knowing what their positions were. And so everybody saw these guys, this Alameda crew, including me in 2018, and we're like, wow, these guys must be geniuses, right? Instead of these guys are just absolutely enormous frauds in bed with everyone in the industry. And then they started going down this route of getting all certified and getting all these laws put in place to make it look like they were rock solid. And it was just an enormous Ponzi scheme. So, as I always say in crypto, not your keys, not your coins, but it's a hard lesson to learn. 1, 2, calm blue ocean, think of training. See, this is how quickly you can go back into a doom spiral. Clinton and Blair, mate, that's when the alarm bells started ringing. That's the only reason I didn't get absolutely smoked. I was just like, a sex offender who derailed the Glass-Steagall Act, which is basically why the world economy is ruined, was Bill Clinton, and Tony Blair, accomplice in war crimes. So, you know, they often say if you're 20s and not a socialist, you don't have a heart, and if you're in your 40s and you're not a conservative, you don't have a brain. It's sort of true. Like, I've gotten a lot more conservative, but also it's sort of not true, because I still have this pipe dream vision that we can aspire to be better, to leave the world, you know, slightly less tainted than what we've made it. Like, we've been handed the best generations in the world, the baby boomers, Generation X, and the millennials. Millennials slightly less so, but nonetheless, I'd say, you know, at 40 now, it's been an okay run. And what we're leaving to the Zoomers, the Generation Z folks, I would argue, is a pretty crap hand to try and play yourself out with. And I think that's why all of us are sort of doing something that can improve people's lives in some way, including Sal. You know, you wanted to go away from, even though I think there's altruism in art, in every single thing you do, but wanting to do teaching as well. You have that desire to want to give something back to youth, and I think that's, you know, totally admirable, because it doesn't seem, like I said, like they've got a good hand being played. I'm going to do 10 more squats, and then let's do some push-ups and get out of here. You can see always when I'm stressed, when I've got anxiety and depression, I sweat more, right? It's something chemical that happens. Not sure, Ben might know better than me. My biochemistry sucks. But man, I think it's anxiety makes me sweat more. So start sweating up my floor like I was on a jiu-jitsu mat. 10 more and some push-ups. 1, sitting back into your heels, weight going to the outside of your feet. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Funnily enough, what I also noticed today, just on the side, is that whilst feeling anxious and depressed, when I got into my cold plunge, it was unbearably cold. Like my central nervous system, I could handle it for 10 minutes, but something in my body is obviously run down, and the cold was like much more difficult to tolerate than normal. So I don't know what that is, but I found that was something that I learned today that I thought is interesting, folks. The old freeze-a-me-do. So I've got some space on the floor today with our guest star Dimebag Dale. Let's bust out a few push-ups and get cracking. So don't forget, I'm going to do proper push-ups today. I am going to do videos in the end once I get my professional start intro videos back from a video editor later this month. But until I do that, I'm just going to save some time today and do some push-ups. The only instructions that I will give is spread your fingers, keep your arms roughly shoulder width, and tense your butt. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tense your butt. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, the reason why I haven't gone for break today is because I will break. One thing I've noticed when I'm anxious and depressed, like I said, I perspire more, and I think I dehydrate more from being stressed. When you're stressed and you're dehydrated, you're much more inclined to do damage. So you've got to make sure you don't bust yourself up and do it properly. And in between sets, breathe. It's still free. Don't think about the World Economic Forum and the world governments conspiring to make us pay for carbon credits. That hasn't happened yet. I will have another depressed week when it does. When in 2018, both Labor and the Liberal government, i.e. only slightly right of the middle and further right than the middle, the two parties we basically have, more or less effectively banned encryption. And I thought, wow, that's a terrible idea, that you have to provide your encryption keys to the government, even businesses, right? But nonetheless, that started. I was like, oh, it's not going to get worse than this. And then 2019, COVID happened, they started all the lockdowns. I'm like, it's getting worse. Anyway, calm blue ocean. I've got to go drink some water, I think. Getting hoarse, I'm losing my voice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feel tension in my wrists. Dehydration, folks. It's pretty hot this week as well. It's going to get up to 35 with a relative humidity of about 65. When it gets to that, sort of 60 plus at 33 plus maybe, or 33 plus, it starts getting unbearably hot, and that's all precipitation until it starts the monsoon season, which is usually the end of December. So it makes running pretty unbearable. I think I'm going to be doing some indoor cycling as well, because man, what Kim pointed out is I don't look ridiculously brown due to the lighting, which is good, but folks, I am ridiculously brown. You can see, look at where my Apple Watch is versus the rest of me. It's pretty wild. Oh man, actually I might have a peppermint tea. I've got cold peppermint tea in my fridge. I'll decant that. Have myself a good peppermint tea. Now, I've got a pretty strict diet normally, but that goes out the window when I'm depressed as well. So it's Dr. Oetker's pizza for me. In the oven once I'm finished, and some peppermint tea. And starting to watch that Lord of the Rings. Kim forgot it. I'll have to give it to you, Kim. Yo, you better believe it, sweetheart. I'll get you that Lord of the Rings. Hey, at least you got the amp this time. We're making progress. See, like I said, when you're suffering depression, you just want to make some small progress, and small is the operative word in this, folks. Making an oven pizza and watching Lord of the Rings with your dogs. That's about as much energy as I've got today. But, like I said, always feeling $1,000,000 a million times better doing it here. There's 4 more minutes on the clock, so let's do a few more sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mate, it's like all anyone remembers is Dr. Mengele. How come people don't remember Dr. Oetker? The good doctor giveth. He didn't profiteer off the Third Reich. One of the few companies in Germany that didn't. Oh man. And literally every single major industrial corporation in Germany, Bayer, BASF, BMW, Mercedes, every single major chemical corporation did. 37, 3 more minutes. Do another 10. Finger spread, tension in butt. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But yeah, I'm going to be drinking a lot of peppermint tea this week, trying to rehydrate. Because, yeah, clammy hands, sweaty feet, frog in the throat. Not ideal. But manageable. What's exciting things that I'm going to do tomorrow? Mowing the lawns. It's starting to get a bit wild out there. And a few odds and ends. I'm kind of worried that there's going to be a bank run soon, folks. Make sure you've got like $1,000 cash. Minimum. If you've got $1,000, just keep $1,000 cash somewhere, because what we're seeing is that everybody and anything is over leveraged to the nth degree at the moment. And just like with FTX, if it starts cascading and there's a bank run, you're not going to get time to get it in the end. But in the end, the only thing that's going to be valid, at least for a while, is going to be cash. But, you know, I trade on the misery index, you know, the conceptual worst case scenario, and that's what's been profitable for me for the last 10 years. So I could be wrong, and I always say I hope I am, but it hasn't been the case in the last 10 years. And when you start getting people today, Federal Express, DHL, Amazon, obviously Meta and Facebook have been absolutely slammed, Elon Musk, JP Morgan, all of them have revised to something that I've been saying until I've been going hoarse like this for 2 years, that we're going to see a recession midway through next year, which means that we're already in a recession now, probably. They're just trying to keep everybody spending until the bitter end. They've just been cooking the books to make it look like everything's hunky-dory to keep everyone spending, because if everyone stops spending, you get stagflation, and that's worse than inflation. So they've really done it this time, folks. They've really done it this time. What do we got here? 1 more minute left. Do 10 more. So pat yourself on the back. take your vitamins, pray to God, believe in the Gordomania, and love you all and see you tomorrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tense your butt. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maintain that muscle mass. I wob you too on me, band. I'm not ignoring you, but I kind of am.